So the one book that I had left, I had gone to the library today. There was actually one that sometimes they'll come in too late. Like the truck will come in too late. I'm like already back home. And there, a little TLDR for that is where I work is right down the street, up the street technically from the library. So I go there. It's just worst case the next day. If my ride comes and gets me before the book comes in, I'll just go next day, worst case. Because usually they're only one day behind. So far, as of me working, they've only been one day behind, which is nice. At most. And that's more just like. I actually don't even think they've been a day behind. I think the only thing that's happened is that it comes in at 4 o'clock rather than 2 o'clock. So I'm not there when it comes in, obviously. I'm at home. I'm not waiting that long for one book. So there was one outstanding book, but there's two trucks. The main truck will not come in until next Thursday. So I decided to hell with it. That book doesn't count. It doesn't exist in my eyes. And let's just get on with books that I have so far. Because there's just one book, whatever. I will mention what it is at the end of the video, so stick around for that. It's a Batman book. And then when I talk about it, I think I have one because there's one that's a reread. I think I have a Batman book that's not a reread. Because it wouldn't be a reread anyways. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are all what's called OGNs. And for those of you who don't know what OGNs are, I wouldn't put it past you because everyone's video is someone's first video, same as everyone's comic is their first comic, and even seasoned comic book readers, fans, probably will not know, collectors may not know what an OGN is. You'd be surprised about what things certain comic book fans don't know about comics. OGN means original graphic novel, meaning it's all in one. Sometimes it can go by chapters, but it's basically this is all in one. It was never released as comic book issues 1 through 6. There was no periodicals or single issues out beforehand that were collected into collected edition. No, it's just a graphic novel. So the first six are those. Now, why do I keep them that way? Why am I even mention this to begin with? First of all, I like to keep this organized. And secondly, I typically read OGNs all in one sitting. That's why some of these comics, when I review them, will have an unfair advantage. There have been OGNs where I've read them and I've always said, this was so long, the pacing was awful. That's because I'm not typically used to reading a book all in one sitting. I've been reading OGNs for a long time now. I've been doing this format, or doing this, not format, but doing this routine for a long, long time now, so I should be used to it. So honestly, saying that should not be like, because it's an OGN. There's no bias anymore. I've been doing this shit for a long fucking time now. Reading the OGNs like this, reading them basically all in one sitting. So honestly, it's the fault of the author for making the pacing awful in some of these books. Not some of these books. Some of the books I've read in the past were OGNs. But these are all ones I have not read before, or I will be reading. But let's get on with it. And the first one up is Neverlanders by Tom Taylor. Looked to be like a teen book. I mean, it's a kiddie book, but it says teen. Time will tell if it's a kiddie book or it's a teen book. I just want to see what Tom Taylor would do with something that's not the big two. Because typically he writes for the big two. At least from what I've seen or heard of so far. Or seen and heard of so far. It's just the big two. A lot of Superman. A lot of not Justice League. I think he's done some Justice League. But mostly that's Superman, some Kal-El series. And DC for DC. And Marvel, most notably Spider-Man. And I don't consider him to be an awful writer, but I'm not super excited for everything that he comes out with, mostly because he writes a lot, and also it seems like some books I read by him I don't like, but nothing I've read by him I've hated. And the only thing I wasn't super crazy about the first DC's book, but I really like the sequel, Unkillables. And I really dig, you'll see this soon here, is his Suicide Squad run. That's probably my most favorite thing he's done. Even his Superman, Son of Kal-El wasn't that bad, but I heard it gets worse. It was the first 6 issues, and it gets worse, and I know it gets worse after that. But anyways, Neverlanders. Then, put the... No, just size. I'll go by size, not by format. Next one up is Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong. Can Possibly Go Wrong. A book I think you've seen at least twice now. Because I've had this book for so damn long, and I just kept putting it off. A lot of it is judging it by its title. Judging it by its cover. Like, seeing this cover is like, is this gonna be a... what's an example of this type of book I didn't like? But I can't think of one. Or is it going to be a Heartstopper? Where a Heartstopper, I saw the cover, I was like, I am not going to like this, am I? It does not appeal to someone like me. And then I read it, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually really fucking relatable, even though I'm straight. There was actually something that was... if I ever do, like, an actual review of Heartstopper, I probably will do. I'll probably do like a book versus the movie and see how that pans out. A TV show, but do book versus TV show for Heartstopper and do like season 1 or something like that and compare the two and do an actual like full-fledged, fully edited video. Long time planning for that one. Like that'll definitely be at the very least published in like what, March? Maybe if I get like maybe 400 subscriber special, I'll do that for a 400 subscriber special. I'd actually make a fully edited video. That's probably the best thing to do. But I'll go over just exactly why I felt that was so relatable to me. But anyways, this one, I just saw it and I was like, I just keep putting in the length. It's 288 pages, it's a lot, and it does, flipping through it, it does seem like it is faster paced, kind of like how Heartstopper is, but not as fast paced as Heartstopper was. But just, nothing is screaming, like, whenever I come across this book, I'm like, I'll put it off. And not purposefully, to be fair. Like, I was going to read it on Thanksgiving because I knew it'd be at my grandmother's for a long time. Thus, I would not have as much time to read comics. Thus, I knew it was like, you know what, let's read a couple here and then get right on. Nothing could possibly go wrong. But unfortunately, something did go wrong. I was behind on my reading, so I had to catch up and spend that whole entire day catching up. Of course, going to my grandmother's for Thanksgiving. But other than that, spending that time reading. But anyways, this one again, I will definitely read it for the time I review it, or just give up entirely on it. But I will try my best to read it. The best part about doing this, like the 100,000 cut to this video, because the only reason why I'm doing this yet again is because of the fact that we got one more book coming in. I think 2 at that point. I think at this point, I don't know, did we? Nope, yeah, 2. 2 more books have come in out of 3. And I decided, there's actually one book I did take out. One book I hated so much I didn't finish it. And I didn't hate it, it was just not for me. And I took that out. I didn't want to show it off. And then people be like, oh, what'd you think of blank? And I said, well, I returned that book and I only read like the first 50 pages or so, which is a good amount, but it's not really, but also not really. It just did not appeal to me at all. I just picked it up off a whim, and it proved to be that sometimes that doesn't work out for the best. That book, I had noise, I thought that was this pile falling over. It's like, so I returned that one. So I'm glad I have this cut going on. And also, I was confused about this next book, whether or not it was the actual issue itself or a trade paperback release of it. But this is literally the single issue version of Elseworlds, periodical version of Elseworlds' Finest, Supergirl, and Batgirl. Not only because the price tag is very cheap, but also it has it has the actual like what you expect to see. Oh, not even then. It just says 1998, but it doesn't say like March 1998. But everything else screams that this was the actual single issue version of it, which I find kind of funny because the libraries that I check books out of almost never do it, and when they do, it's like the exclusive that Marvel used to do this. It'd be a hardcover version of it, of the single issue. It was a very weird thing that Marvel used to do, and very few books do that. It was just Haunted Mansion and another Disney Kingdoms book did that, but everything else, and I think Darth Vader, if I checked out Vader Down as those hardcovers, as the single issues, I get that. But thankfully, my local library I go to had the trade paperback version of Vader Down. Thus, I did not need to do that at all. It's nice. But yes, Elseworlds Finest. I just saw this. I was browsing, and I just came across this. I was like, you know what? Let's check this one out. Why not? See what it's all about. And Elseworlds always interests me because I always like finding out like all the changes they made to the DC continuity. For those of you who don't know, Elseworlds DC is like an alternate universe version. So you can have like one that's literally like if what if Superman's parents were raised by Bruce Wayne's parents and vice versa, which I think is the most like that's straight up like the easiest Elseworlds story to do. Is just switching up one minor thing, but a bunch of things. So you think the more you think about it, the more changes you can make, and so much creativity, creative potential with that one little change. But anyways, moving on. DC's Hope at World's End. Now this one was released as digital chapters, so technically this is a collected edition. But because of the way that they were released, I'm not gonna get too into it. But because of the way they're released, look up yourselves. Actually, I do implore you guys to look it up yourself. Read the sample of issue 1. You'll know what I mean. So I don't count that as a collected edition. I count this as a OGN. So, but DC's Hope at World's End. Spoilers, you'll also see DC's Dead Planet that I'll be reading for the first time, along with this book. Will this be as good as DC's Unkillables, or will it be as minorly disappointed as it was with DC's 1? And DC's number 1, it was more just because like everyone's like raving about it, thinking it's the best things than sliced bread. And I read it and I was like, Marvel Zombies is better. And that, I think, says a lot about the kind of comic book reader I am more than anything else can. Those of you who have read, at least those who have read Marvel Zombies and then have read DC's. So there you go. But time will tell if this is as good as Unkillables or as again, I say slightly, and as slightly disappointing as, or it'll be just disappointing as DC's or worse. Time will tell. Dune, the graphic novel. This one, I was on Legion's channel. I do, if you want to see, it's not, obviously it's not live anymore, but if you want to see me on someone else's channel, I think it was about an hour in, so I don't check in right when they start the video, but I said I was going live. I made a little community post on it, and I don't make community posts too often, so it should not have expired, because I think the more you make, the less that you see the older ones, and some will like legitimately go away. But if you want to see that, then go check out my channel's community posts. You'll see those. And the most recent one, they were talking about Dune Prophecy, and because they were talking about a TV show I hadn't watched, I kind of dozed off, and I was like, hey, I wonder if my local library has the graphic novels. And sure enough, they did. And now when I say local library, I mean Intraloans. 9 out of 10 of the books that I check out from my local library are Intraloan books, because of how much I've read from my local library. In fact, I would say out of 22 books that I check out, the only ones that, the most of them, if there is a lot of them from my local library, odds are they are ones that I have read before, like Star Wars, or Scalped, or Transmetropolitan, or DMZ. Most of them are for the first volumes, except for Star Wars, but I'm reading my library's copy. Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong is one of the only ones that's not a new release that the local library that I haven't read before. So Dune. So speaking of new release, The Road. Finally get to read this book. I'm just anticipating it for a long time, ever since I found out there was a graphic novel adaptation of it. Always wanted to read The Road, but didn't want to read a novel. I wanted a graphic novel version of it because of the subject matter. And thankfully, my local library came in clutch and was like, hey, we're going to need a copy too. More people than you want to check this out. So I think someone else asked for it. Or they just saw it and I was like, yeah, this would be good for us. Because I didn't do a materials request for this book. It just happened to show up. Which is nice. I had the wrong barcode at first. It was like, not the wrong barcode, the call number. It was weird. It was a junior book, like a kid's book. It was Wonder PA. Which I thought, oh, Wonder, that book that's been out for decades now. Not decades, over a decade now. And you obviously have in your stock, like in the library, have no reason to get a copy. And then it was a mistake, obviously. Okay, so now that's it for the OGNs. Now on to the bread and the butter, I guess you could say. I don't know. The first 15 of these, I believe, I'll count again. The first 15, I believe, are rereads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 15 technically, because you'll see that I checked out 2 volumes of the same series, and I'll soon explain why. But let's get into it. So first, 15 technically are rereads, and the reason it's 25 books total, and the reason why that is because when I start reading these books, like these ones, the collected edition books, it'll be Christmas vacation for me. And to celebrate, I wanted to go back to the days of old and read 25 books a day. Because that's what I did when I had all the time in the world in the palm of my hands. Was I'd read. And that was 25 books per day. For the most part. Sometimes when I was getting to be too much and I was starting to go insane, I would dial it back a little bit. And that's how I got the OGN. So what I would do is I'd read like 5 comics a day. Then OGN, then a movie. And of course, video games in between. And that proved, and that was like every so often, and that proved to be the best thing for me, the best medicine, because sometimes, even as much as I love comics, obviously, sometimes even I'm like, I want to do something else. Still want to read today, but also want to do something else for a good amount of time, and want to watch a movie too, and, let's dial it back a little bit here, but then I'd get back into the routine of 25 books a day. I would say it was especially the weekends that my nephew would come over, because I knew we'd be watching movies. And then it was always when I got new library books. Like, always that weekend, or the next few days after that. Always that. There you go. Anyways, let's get on with it. The Umbrella Academy, Volume 2. Unfortunately, not the library edition. I tried to find a way to find the library edition, but you'll soon see another book here that I didn't get the best version of that specific graphic novel, but the version I got is gonna have to be sufficient for now, and so will this have to be. So it's kind of like me saying, like, you know what? If I didn't do it for that book, then doing it for this book, it makes sense, But if I had known better, I would have got the library edition of this, and then of that other book that you'll see here. But I'm gonna hit myself. Oh, and also, the reason why I reread books fall under 3 criteria. The first 2 is basically this. First one being I liked it so much that I want to read it again. And typically, on average, that's every 6 months, I'll reread a book. So you'll see, like 6 months from now, you'll probably see Star Wars Jason Aaron again. Or you'll see, what's an example? Suicide Squad by Tom Taylor. You'll probably see me reading that again, showing it off again. They'll be reading it 6 months from now. And again, as on average, sometimes it's 3 months, sometimes it's 1 month. If it's Wonder Girl, it's 1 month. That's a great example. But typically, it is every, I would say, on average, every 6 months. And that's typically because, I'll forget things about a book. I don't remember. I'll be going over the events of the book in my head, and I remember when I start remembering less and less about that series or that book, I'll check out that comic. I'll check it out again. But anyways, then the second criteria is my library looks like it might have the entire series now, because it may be over or is over, and this library just has it. It's been scalped recently, and that's with this book. The third one is you'll soon see here, but I'm getting ahead of myself again, so Umbrella Academy Volume 2. Now, the third criteria is giving it a second chance. Because sometimes I will give books a second chance, and I will feel completely different about them than I did when I first read them. Usually, I'm more positive. Never usually negative. I never read it. I can't think of any books, actually, that I've read for a second time, and I hated them more than I did the first time. I really liked it. Read it a second time, absolutely hated it. It's usually the other way around. Now, sometimes I will read a book, and I'll be like, okay, I think I was a little bit crazy about that one. There was one of Gotham City Sirens. I absolutely, ate that up, and I had forgotten that it was more book 2 than book 1. Book 1 is still good, and still a great example of why Paul Dini is such a great writer, but book 2 is where it was at. and that's why on the third, that's why I want to do a reread again soon. On a third, because on a third reread, I almost feel like I'll feel more like I did the first time about it than I did the second time on it. Like you know, but that one, another reread that I'm doing that because I want to. I feel like I'll like it a lot more the second time and give me a second chance is Bodies by Cy Spencer. This one I actually gave one single star to on my library's. With your account now, you can rate books. I rate it 1 star. So you can, yeah. So hopefully I like a little bit more than I did the first time. It was just kind of weird for me, and I think I just need to really just read again, and you know, with a different mindset, obviously. Because the first time I read this, I had pretty high hopes, and they weren't met. But now that I know they won't be met, I feel like a second reread will massively improve this book. Time will tell. Then we have 2 volumes of Captain America and the Mighty Avengers. Why'd I do this? Well, it's only 2 volumes. It's only 2 volumes for the series. And I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to, you know, why not? It's at most 12 issues. It's 9 issues of the series, and then we give you Captain Britain and the Mighty Defenders issues 1 and 2. So 10, 11. Yeah, 12. Exactly 12 issues. So there you go. You know, just notes cut off my back. There is actually one here that I believe is 12 issues. Actually, Suicide Squad is 11 issues, but it basically is the size of both these together. So if that's almost 12 issues, might as well do this one. And there's another one that's here that's a complete collection. It's a lot more than 12 issues. But not a lot more, but a bit more than 12 issues. So it's like, why not? Meet it in the middle, you know? Now, obviously, I finished it within 12 days of reading it. Actually, yeah, no, a little more than that, because I do half and half. But you guys get the idea. Anyways, Catwoman, Volume 1 by Joelle Jones. This is so Captain America is kind of in the middle. I don't know if I really liked this at first when I read it, or I thought it was okay, or I hated it. I want to say that I just thought it was okay. I can't remember. So technically, you could make the argument that it's a reread, redeem. You know, and I want to redeem it, and I want to read again, and I like it more than the second time, and redeem its reputation, I guess. I don't know, but you guys know what I mean by redeem, because it's. I know I'm saying it right. I'm having a hard time explaining it, but I mean, I think you guys know what I'm getting at. So Catwoman, just really, really enjoy Joelle Jones's writing, and of course the series. Much like Brian Azzarello, I have not read a single thing that by Joelle Jones or Brian Azzarello that I have not liked. Everything I've read by those two, I've loved. Even Garth Ennis, I didn't really like String Bags. I think the second time I read it, I thought it was a little bit better, but still, like, I wouldn't read that again anytime soon, kind of thing. But everything by Brian Azzarello and Joelle Jones, I would read soon again. In fact, I think next time I do this, it'll be Joelle Jones's Lady Killer. They'll check out. Next up is Batgirl and Robin, Year 1. And this one I'm sorry, and say how long we're going on for. As I'm legally blind in one eye, so they go like this close to see what the timestamp says. But anyways, Batgirl and Robin, Year 1, and this is definitely an every 6-month rule kind of thing. I don't know if I believe they did have they've had a recent reprint of the series, like not just of and then they did one for Batgirl, and then I think they did one for Robin after. But as far as this little deluxe edition is concerned, I believe they have a hardcover reprint of it, and I would implore everyone to buy it, because this is really damn good. I know I'm basically reviewing what I haven't reread yet, but each time I've read it, I've liked it even more. This is Chuck Dixon at his best. Deadpool by Daniel Way, the complete collection. This is the one I was mentioning before. It's a lot more than 12 issues, a little bit. So you get the first 12 issues of Deadpool, Then you got 2 issues of Thunderbolts and 5 issues of Wolverine Origins. So yeah, a good amount more than 12 issues. So hence why I checked out both volumes of Captain America and the Mighty Avengers. Said screw it. I know it's gonna be at least one book that's gonna be a little bit longer than this will be. So why not do that? But this one, it's kind of an every 6 month rule, but also finally finishing this series once and for all. I've been putting this off for a long time. I've had all 4 volumes of Daniel Way's run in complete collection format that have all his run in it in those 4 complete collections. So no time like the present to finally finish this run once and for all. Now I've read this complete collection, all of it, front to back, and the 2nd volume. But the 3rd volume, I believe, I quit halfway through. Not because I didn't like it, but because I had other things to read, and it got lost in the shuffle. But this is probably, like, so far, my favorite run of Deadpool. Now that is past Justin talking. It's been a while since I've read this series, but past Justin really liked it, and it's what got him into the series. Of course, the movie did too, other than the movie. But as far as comics go, this is what said, okay, Deadpool is an awesome character, and there's a reason why he stood the test of time. And honestly, I think Daniel Way is my preferred Deadpool. Now, some things I didn't like. I think he gets a bit too jokey, like bit too Deadpool. But I don't. The stories are really damn good. Anyways, moving on. And the reason why I'm saying that, why I'm like justifying it, is because no one seems to like his run. I think it's like a few people that like his run. It's kind of funny if more and more people after I review Deadpool by Daniel Way, just coincidentally start making the most underrated Deadpool series, or this Deadpool series was overhated, and it's Daniel Way's run of Deadpool. I'd be really ironic, and not because I did the video, just because in general, you know. Who's trying to text me? Whoever's trying to text me, okay, good. Yay! It's a group text. I don't know, I'd do something. But usually group texts are like, what did I get for groceries? What I'm making dinner tonight? What do you need for ingredients? You know, it's like nothing I need to say anything about. This is my reminder to stay hydrated. Or my reminder to you guys to stay hydrated. I feel like every time I said Daniel Way, I was saying it wrong. Not saying it wrong, but I had to like enunciate. Because apparently Daniel Way is hard for me to say. Around. Moving on. We Live Volume 1. This falls under the I didn't like it at all criteria, but everyone else loved it, so I'm giving it a second chance. I don't know why I didn't like that book. I didn't like this book. Because it was everything I wanted. It was sci-fi. It was creative. But it was just weird. It fell under my expectations. And yet again, like I said before, with Captain America. Sorry, no. Like I said, with Bodies. Now that I have the... I know the book will be like... Now I just said the word too. I can't think of the word. Not hype. I just said it too. Now that the hype has died down, expectations. Now that my expectations are at where they're at, I know what to expect from that series. I'm sure I will like it more the second time around. Maybe. I don't know. Again, time will tell. Identity Crisis by Brad Meltzer. There's 2 Brad Meltzer books. There's this and his Justice League run. And funnily enough, this one I liked a lot more than his Justice League run. In fact, this is an every 6 month rule, and his Justice League run is reread to redeem. And that's what I'm going to call it from now on. Batman Hush, every 6 months, but also I want to read the sequel, so refresh my memory. And that's, again, so 3 criteria: reread to redeem, refresh the memory, and every 6 month rule. And you guys know what they meant when I said that, because you guys have hopefully at least watched that portion. So you know what I mean by those. I'll just in case you guys skipped around, I'll explain again, because I don't mind you guys skipping around, so you just know what each book is and why, and for rereads, why I'm rereading it, and what the criteria are, and it's all you want to know, and you don't want to know like anything else, because I do pretzel on. I'm glad I do, and I will not stop doing that because I like doing that. And I think some of you guys do like that, me doing that, but I get that, and you guys don't have like 44 minutes to spare. So, anyways, reread to redeem is I didn't like the first time. Reading again to see if it's any better second time. Usually it is. Most of the time it is, but sometimes it's not. But most, like 99% of the time, it's been an improvement. Then the second criteria is every 6 month rule. I loved it so much that I read it on average and read it again on average every 6 months. And the third criteria is refreshing the memory, and that's there's a sequel that the library has, and I can finally finish off the series. So I'm refresh memory to remember what I read before, so I'm not jumping into volume 10. I'm like, what happened again in the first 9 volumes? So I'll just read the first 9 volumes again. But anyways, Batman Hush. Watchmen is kind of in the middle. Now, Watchmen, I understand, is one of the most groundbreaking graphic novels of all time, but it's also from 1985. 86, I believe. I think it's 85 to 86. So it's going to be dated, you know. Even though it's 85, they had their shit figured out, and this is groundbreaking, so it's very far ahead of its time. Thus, it's going to feel like it's more like the 90s, you know, it's going to have that feeling it's from a later date in general, because again, ahead of its time. But I just thought this was great. Not fantastic, but great. And rereading this again, because I want to read it again. You know, I would say every 6 month rule, but also a bit of a reread to redeem. Like, everyone would give this a 10 out of 10. I would give this an 8 out of 10. There you go. That's what I mean by that. Nice way of concluding it. And this was the book that I told you I was referring to when I said, I want it in better format. Found out the hard way, they have the absolute edition of Watchmen. Now, I do own Watchmen, but I own the trade paperback of Watchmen. This is my library's, again, Interloan Library's hardcover version of it. I thought this would at least be oversized, like deluxe edition size, not always not absolute, but deluxe edition size, it's not in that. It is standard size hardcover. Then we have Suicide Squad Bad Blood. Like I said before, my favorite Tom Taylor book comic thus far, my favorite work from Tom Taylor, and also, obviously, a every 6 month rule book. Read it every 6 months rule book. Last God, same thing, every 6 month rule. This is a really damn good book. Literally, my only flaw with this book is this shit at the end. And Watchmen has this too. So if you guys know what at the end of each issue of Watchmen, you know what I'm talking about and can skip ahead, because that's all it is. So that's why reading Watchmen can be a bit of a pain in the ass, because at the end of every issue, they have this. Just text. No real pictures, just text. And when every other page, when, you know, the pages are like this, actual comic book pages, it's kind of annoying that it's going to be like, all text. Like, there's a reason why I prefer graphic novels over novels, and that's because there's not as much text. You're able to still convey what you want to convey, but through artwork. You don't have to waste time explaining what's going on in the scenery, because there actually is an artist that's drawing the scenery. That's why I prefer graphic novels over novels. The main reason, at least. And honestly, the only reason. Justice League of America by Brad Meltzer. Again, reread to redeem. Didn't like it as much as I did the first time. Didn't like them as much as I did the first time. Hopefully, a second time I'll like a lot more. Again, by Brad Meltzer. Identity Crisis, I really, really dug. I know it's an insanely dark comic, and it's borderline grimdark, but I still really enjoy it. And yes, I did know the grimdark elements in the book before reading it, so it wasn't a shock to my system at all. I had plenty of time to prepare myself, so maybe that has something to do with it, but when you ignore that, it's a really, really damn good book. And his Justice League book, which is kind of standard Justice League fare, in my opinion. Like, nothing about it stood out. So, that's why I need to reread it, I feel. So this is deluxe edition. So I'm gonna compare it to a graphic novel, actually no, we'll compare it to Watchmen. Because there's a reason why I like deluxe editions. See? Just reading it in that deluxe edition format would have been awesome. But unfortunately, I found the hard way that the versions they have, at least, I swear to God there is a deluxe edition of... Actually, I know there is a deluxe edition of Watchmen. And honestly, like, I should have known that was going to be standard size. The deluxe edition looks different, first of all, and it's literally called deluxe edition, and it's like... It looks nothing like that one. I think it was a recent release, too. So I should not have been confused at all. But I was. And the final reread, and that is Death Deluxe Edition. Now, this is going to shock people because of how, if you know how I feel about Sandman as a whole, but this is a every 6 months book. Sandman in general, if it's volume 6, it's a reread to redeem. If it's volumes 5 and I believe 7, it's an every 6 month rule because I really dig. So my favorite story arc from Sandman is the one that has Thessaly and Alvin in it. I believe Barbie. I believe that's what it was. And I know there's two story arcs of Barbie, but specifically this is the one with Thessaly and Alvin also in it. That story arc. That is my all-time favorite arc of Sandman. I think it does everything that people like about Sandman is featured in that book. Like, every last thing people say, this Sandman is good because, and it's in that arc. And more. It's so damn good. And then Volume 6 comes around, and it's a bore fest. And it's way too verbose for its own good. And it's acting like it's more than... And Neil Gaiman has such a huge head, has such a huge fucking ego, and it shows so much in Volume 6, at least in my opinion. But then Volume 7 comes around, and that's really good. Yeah, that was the one with they're trying to find the brother. That one's really damn good. But then again, Volume 6. And I think there was one after that I didn't really like. I don't like the final volume. The final volume I feel like is good. No, I like certain parts of it, but mostly it's a reread to redeem. But this one is really damn good. I read the first time, I really enjoyed it, and it's a reread. It's a reread every 6 month book. Now on to ones that are now on to the read them for the first time, and that is for the final. I think it's 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 technically, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Because I did another. It's a 2-volume series, so I get both. Okay, I only had the first 2, so I get 2 at the same time. So if you don't count that, it's 11. If you do, it's 12. Anyways, moving on. The Sandman Overture. This is one of the only Sandman books I've not read yet, so I was like, you know what? Let's read it once and for all. And I also didn't know it existed. This is the deluxe edition of the 2013 series. Flipping through it, it does kind of maybe seem like it won't be my kind of Sandman. There's a lot of dialogue too here. My God. But time will tell. Giant Days Volume 8. This is actually one because I had one book too many. Actually, if it was Batman, it would have been 2 books too many. So I was like, you know what? Let's read Giant Days ahead of time. I didn't want to do 26. Even doing 26 rather than 25 was too much. Like, adding 1 book was too much. But I'm reading Giant Days beforehand. In fact, I'm almost done with it. But Giant Days Volume 8. I'm not gonna say anything because I'll expose myself here. I have read some of the OGNs because I'm doing this so late. But you don't know which ones they were because I kept it very didn't say anything. And no, I've not read Possibly Go Wrong yet. That's one I haven't read yet. Two of them I haven't read yet. It's Possibly Go Wrong and another one. Guess in the comments below. But then by the time, no, I'll know it. I was just gonna say, by the time I upload this, I will have read them all, but obviously I know at this point, on Thursday, what I have read, what I haven't read. But Giant Days Volume 8. We Only Find Them When They're Dead, Book 2. Now, it did not have Book 3, and I don't think anywhere, so unless they have the Deluxe Edition, which collects a whole entire series, I will have to seek out other avenues to finish the series once and for all. And I'm going to leave that up to interpretation and move on. As best to not incriminate myself. Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons. This was one I put in last minute. I'm glad I did because that other Batman book didn't come in, and so this took its place essentially. This is one that I was going to put in last time, but it took forever for it to go to pending to shipped, and by the time that it got too late, and I just don't think it ever shipped. So I was like, you know what, cancel it, and we'll do it next time. But Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons, my first official Godzilla comic. Actually, no, I take it back. Never mind. See, that should go to show just how, I hate to say this, but how overrated that writer was. It was not Steve Scrosay. Steve Scrosay is really good writer. Actually, I love to see him on Godzilla. This is written by Frank Thierry, but the other one was it was that guy that did something. He's known for Godzilla. That writer. He also wrote Orkstein, which is one of the only image books I can't get because it's out of print, infamously out of print. And I would buy it, even though I didn't really like the writer. It seems to be up my alley. Orkstein does. But yeah, what was the writer's name? I'll look it up after. But I read his Godzilla, I didn't like it, and that's what turned me off Godzilla comics for a long time. I didn't want to read anything that was written by him. But then we have this one written by Frank Thierry and the Brian Buccellato Justice League crossover, which is amazing, absolutely incredible. I love that. It was almost my pick of the week that time around, but it wasn't. But yeah, Godzilla. Actually, it might have been. I don't think it was though. Part of me wants to say yes. Part of me wants to say no. I think I'm gonna pick Black Science. I don't know. Shang-Chi, Volume 2 by Gene Luen Yang. I think there's at least 3 volumes total of his run, because I thought this one was more of the first series, but it's not. It's just the first 6 issues of the rebrand. Of the reboot, because again, Marvel just loves doing their, oh, our series got canceled, new number 1, jack up the price, speculators come on in. You know, they just do that. Rather than do 12 issues, they'll do a new number 1. It's more often than it should be. And it's almost always with Captain Marvel. And for a while there, the book will sell pretty damn well because that new number 1, the speculation, all that junk, and then it will dip in quality and dip in sales, mostly because people be confused. Like, you could pick up issue 1 of Shang-Chi, that issue 1, and because it's written by the same writer, you say, oh, okay, so this is Gene Luen Yang's run. I've heard a lot about this. You pick it up and you're confused because it's continuing off from the previous run, or at least it's volume 2. No, we do not know why Marvel does that. And honestly, you could read that as you could make that Gene Luen Yang book, that run, your introduction to Shang-Chi after the movie, because that was basically my first Shang-Chi book. I wasn't too confused. It did mention he was on the Avengers a lot in that book, but I knew that already because I'd read Jonathan Hickman's run, or part of his run. But other than that, you won't be too confused. But anyways, and even then, you're just saying like, oh, he's on Avengers, okay. Because you don't need to know what he did while he was working for the Avengers to know what's going on in that series. It's not one of those kinds of things. But anyways, there's another one that's 2 volumes of that, and that is Black Panther. This run being by Eve L. Ewing, or just Eve Ewing. Now, why haven't you seen a whole lot of Black Panther in the books I'll be reading for the next few weeks? Well, the reason why that is because I have, at this point, 70% of every single Black Panther book ever made, comic ever made. And why and how is that? Well, back during when Chadwick Boseman, unfortunately and way too soon, passed on, when he passed on way too soon, Marvel Comics did us a favor and was like, here's every single issue, not trade, but single issue of Black Panther, free of charge. No sign up needed. If you have the Marvel app and you have a way to download it and you have enough storage, you can get every single Black Panther comic downloaded on your device, whatever device you read them on. And I thought that was one of the best things that Marvel Comics has ever done in recent years. It kind of like there'd be some stupid controversy about Marvel Comics, and I'd be like, hey, they made that stupid thing, but at least they gave us every single Black Panther comic for free. I don't know why they didn't just go by trade. I think that went too much, and we got in cold feed. Basically, every issue was in those trades. I think the reason for why that was because it's just kind of like I guess people are more inclined to buy the trades than seek out every single issue. But I knew what I was doing, and that was when they still had their app that was really well organized, so I was able to download every last book from there. But that's the thing. They're all on the Kindle. They're all on the Kindle. So on this device here I'm using to record. So I can't really show them off if it's digital. And that's why the only ones you're going to probably will ever see is what's come out recently. I actually should check when that cutoff was and see what came out after that. Because I don't think it was that run. I think we've had more. I know Wakanda, that 5-issue miniseries, that was not available at the time, unfortunately. I think it was just coming out. But anyways, moving on. Another new release, technically, if you saw I didn't see the other video, but in that regard, Suicide Squad Volume 3. I've loved this new 52 Suicide Squad thus far, and I really don't think my opinion is going to change all that much. I hope it won't either. It's been a really damn fun ride. Then after that, we have Ales Cott comes in to take over Adam Glass, and he does his own run. It's very brief. I think it's actually only one volume, but he does come in to write Suicide Squad after Adam Glass leaves the book for one reason or another. Superman, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. This one I have been putting off for so long, and there's no reason why. This is not only is this for my personal collection, but this is also a book my cousin got me for my birthday. More his parents than him, but still, I need to repay the favor and finally check this book out. I'll bet you any money if I said, oh, I finally read that Superman book guys got me for my birthday a few years ago. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You don't remember that at all, but cool. But from now on, that'll be the first thing I read, is the gifts from anyone that's not anyone that's not direct family. So that's like my cousins, I'll read that right away. Any you guys, like friends and family, friends and extended family, I will read it right away. But there you go. So Superman. Whatever Happened to Me Tomorrow. The groundbreaking Alan Moore run. Mini run on the groundbreaking Alan Moore Superman story. Green Arrow by Kevin Smith. It finally happened. I finally came across a book that I completely forgot I owned. So now that I remember I own this book, I want to actually, finally read it. It was hidden. So on my shelves, the way that they're built is that they go all the way down to from the end to the wall, the end of the shelf to the wall of my room, and then the other ones go this way. So when they meet at this part, I unfortunately have to, so it looks neat and organized. I unfortunately have to put some comics right here so other comics can lie against it like this. And the ones that I hide typically are either books that I haven't finished the series of, like Fantastic Four by Hickman. I know I won't do that anytime soon unless it's a digital sale because of how I'm purchasing comics nowadays. And or books I just read. And I know I won't read anytime soon, like Far Sector or Justice League, or Identity Crisis. I can't do deluxe. I had to do standard size trade paperbacks. If I do anything bigger or an actual hardcover, it'll look atrocious. But anyways, that's why this book was hidden for so long. Oh, $25, that thick book. I just completely forgot I owned this book. Like, completely. I honestly think that if I had not seen this when I saw it, I would have said, oh, cool, they have a sale on Green Arrow, Kevin Smith's run, and I would have bought it on the Kindle. And I would have been a big whoopsies. And I don't think it would have kicked in. And then maybe later that night, when I'm going over the whole entire day in my head, like, oh, why do I think I own that book? It can't be. And I'd see it and I'd feel stupid. But that didn't happen. Because I was looking for another book that's at the time, and it's the classic example of when you're looking for something, you find something else entirely. And I think I almost forgot what I was looking for at the time. Let's say I was looking for Far Sector, and I came across Green Arrow. And I was like, oh my god, I forgot about this. How can I forgot? And okay, I gotta add this to this pile over here. That book's I'll be reading next. So I also kept putting this book off for a long time too. And then I put it in that pile, and I was like, and I just went off to go play video games, do something else, and I completely forgot about Far Sector. I almost want to say that happened. Can't say for certain though. DC's Dead Planet, Tom Taylor. Like I said about Hobbit World's End, hopefully I like this one more than the original, and it continues its streak of the sequels being better than the original and improving on the original. And again, DC's, like I said, the first one, I liked it, but again, I'm more like a 7 out of 10. Everyone else has a 9 out of 10. I say 7. Maybe even 6. Maybe even 6. I'll be fair, I'll be generous and say 7 out of 10. But anyways, last and... not last. Lady Baltimore by Mike Mignola. This one is, again, one I've been putting off for so long. And I have my personal collection, and I wanted to read it. Now, the last few are all manga. So if you're not interested in manga, I did want to keep this separate from the traditional comics. So guys that don't care about manga can dip out. But if you don't care about manga... The next will be manga. I'll be talking about for the remainder of this video. So there you go. There's your invitation to dip out if you don't care about manga. I understand that I've just recently started getting back into manga myself. And even then, that was a long time coming. I kept saying, maybe this time we'll check out manga. Maybe this time. I never did. And then finally I was like, you know what? Do it this time. Because of Berserk, mostly. Oh my god, almost an hour. Holy shit. Alright, I gotta go. It's been way too long. I've been going over, even on the books. So, actually, it's another thing I want to mention. No, actually, I'll mention the Berserk. Vinland Saga, Book 3. Apparently, Thank you, book. Thank you for following. Apparently, the cover has nothing wrong with it. Doesn't say. Just says, what's wrong with the cover, and I circled the thing. Alright. Cover, huh? No. Nothing there. It's a little bit loose. Nothing too bad. Huh. The cover is like a little bit loose. Not too bad. But yeah, Vinland Saga, Book 3. I've liked that series so far. It's been what's got me to read. Oh wait. Actually, I technically did this backwards because this is the only softcover manga. And that is Neon Genesis Evangelion. This is a 3-in-1. God, dude. Alright, there you go. I'm changing that again. But this is it's like a 3-in-1. This is book 1. So it's three in here. It's usually I'm over explaining. I lost my train of thought. Train of thought's gone. Neon Genesis Evangelion was a manga I wanted to read ever since I remembered it existed. I mean, it's recent, but I was like, you know what? Let's put that in. I want to read the series. I heard a lot about it over the years. I finally want to check this out. So those of you who have read this series are probably saying, "Oh my God, you're in for a treat. Just wait, you wait." Like how people were saying the same when I finally said I was going to be reading Berserk. This is the deluxe edition, and this is book 2. So why am I mentioning that specifically? Because when the books first started coming in, because they put them in the interloan system, and then sometimes will come in. Some come in on Wednesday, some come in on Friday, maybe Thursday here and there. But there's 2 systems. The first system is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the other system is Tuesdays and Thursdays. 5 days a week to come in, never on the weekend. So they're closed on Sunday, anyways. So the Monday, Wednesday, Friday ones, typically you'll get them some on Monday, some on Wednesday. Sometimes it'll be each and every day, but usually it's just 2 days. Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, whenever you put them in. So the first day, 17 books come in. 17. And they're all the mangas except for I think it was all the mangas. So this thick ass that's right too. It was almost all the hardcovers. I think everything except for Watchmen. Now it's hard for you guys to put that into your heads because a lot of them are ones for my personal collection, like Suicide Squad, obviously did not come in. It's for my PC. But just imagine a good amount of hardcovers. Some of these like Sandman and Death, those thicker hardcovers coming in again, except for Watchmen, and this. Yeah, I could just barely fit them all in. I had to actually carry this one myself, and I had to put the rest in my backpack. And even then, it was like my backpack was like ready to bulge. It was like bulging, ready to explode. And I had this one too. I had to carry this one. And then what was funny is the librarian that checked them out to me had asked me afterwards, like the next day, the next few days, if I read this yet. I should have said yes, because I did. I read the first volume. I didn't know what the second volume, you know. I should have been like, yeah, check it out. Because I don't know if he was asking for that. But because he wanted to know what the big black book was. I told him what it was, but I didn't tell him how I felt about it, because I haven't read book 2 yet. And actually, last but not least, is Battle Angel Alita, book 3. Which, yes, is the ultimate that came in that same day. Of the 17. With those two. And of course the other mangas. So that, as I say, is that. Now, why did I add so many for my PC? Well, I want to read the manga after. So part of the 25, I don't really include manga. Now, why is that? Well, I don't know how they do manga. Is it like how they do this book? This is all 5 issues of this previously released series in this trade, in its hardcover. It's 5 issues that were actually released. So I read comics by issue. I read one issue of Lady Baltimore, then Deceased, then Suicide Squad, and the other Suicide Squad, then Giant Days, then Batman. That's how I do that. So in the mangas, I'm like, yeah, they do say, okay, this goes like chapter, but I'm like, is that actually how it goes? Like, will they actually release as chapters beforehand, and then the collected edition collects them? I know Berserk they do that, but that's just a trade. So it's just such a headache. I'm like, you know what? Because I want it to be a traditional, full-fledged Days of Old, I'll read the manga after. Once I start finishing the books, this fat stack of comics over here, then I'll get on the mangas. It's really complicated, I know, but that's how I do it. That's how I am. That's how OCD I am. Now, another thing I want to mention is that the one book that didn't come in was Batman and Two-Face, and it was Batman, Two-Face, and Scarecrow Year 1. Now, Batman Year 1, Scarecrow, and Riddler Year 1. Didn't come in yet, unfortunately. I don't think it will until at least Thursday. Oh well. Now I've been going on for an hour. I still gotta get out my books. I'm running behind on time, so I'm going to end it here, because I think I've talked long enough for comics. And I'm officially satisfied though. I want this video to be a bit longer. I'm glad it was as long as it was. Lighting isn't the best. It's almost sundown, but that's only because of now. It's only right now, and it's because it's cloudy outside. But that's it.